everyone says the safest bet is to have the W-2. It's honestly the worst bet because you're trusting someone else to make sure that you have a future versus saying, let's get out there, let's go and do it ourselves.
Are you ready to transform your life? This is a no-nonsense show helping immigrants like you create generational wealth, even while working full-time. Get ready to take notes. Here's your host, Saket Jain.
Welcome back, Migrate to Wealth listeners. Today we have with us Ian Horowitz. Great story, very inspiring. Started as a fireman, now a 9-figure portfolio of multiple asset classes. I'll let him talk about the stuff, but I'm really excited to have Ian. Ian, thank you for being on the show, buddy.
Yeah, what's up, brother? How you doing?
Good, man. Good. I know you're under some allergy attacks, so we'll be kind to you. So if you do need to sniff or something, don't worry, you can do that.
All right, I appreciate it. I mean, California is beautiful more than just its politics, but it was in full bloom. I got to see all the nation's produce. I was out speaking at an event, so I apologize for any sniffles, coughs, or anything in between, but hopefully we can deliver some value today.
Yeah, so Ian, let's jump right in, man. What is the title of our show, Migrate to Wealth? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's different stages of it. You know, we all are in different phases of our life. Migrate to Wealth, when I was a firefighter for the city of Baltimore, meant one thing, but today Migrate to Wealth is really just, you know, where I sit today is controlling my own destiny and time freedom. I think it's similar in every part of your life. Early on, it's more, how do I get out of the grind? Now it's, how do I keep it? How do I retain it? How do I pass it on as a legacy to my family, and sharing that with my, you know, co-investors, friends, family, anyone that we can show the path and say,
right,
hey, time freedom, let's go.
So Ian, what has been your path to migration to wealth right now? Where is it? Where was it when you started? Where is it right now? And what has that journey been?
Yeah, you know, we took the long, hard road to make sure we got lots of white hair and a bald head for those of you that are watching. But my business partner and I, we were actually firemen for the city of Baltimore. So if you ever watched The Wire, that's where we worked, in the heart of West Baltimore. If you saw the riots that happened, that's where we worked. Literally blocks from my firehouse is where all that happened. Right, wrong, or indifferent, it's what we love to do. It was more of a give back, something that made you feel good. It wasn't about making money. It was doing the right thing. But we got hired in 07 and 08. And, you know, right after that, if you guys remember the financial crisis, city workers getting furloughed, city workers having benefits taken away from them, pension systems changing overnight. Detroit, California, all these public pension systems are going bankrupt. We said, man, there's got to be a better way. And we were working our tails off, right? We were working 2 10-hour days, 2 14-hour nights, and then we would work side work before our night works, and then our 4 days off. So we're working 8 days a week. And we both said that there had to be a better way. So we just started buying, I'd say it simply, but we started buying some real estate, you know, some wholesale contracts and some Section 8 subsidized rentals. And little did we know that just started as, hey, we needed a few extra bucks. Let's secure our retirement. And off we went. And, you know, we hit great tailwinds in 2012, 13, 14, and so on. And that actually created and gave us the ability to start to truly create wealth. And it turned into much more than just a little retirement project. It turned into something much bigger.
Let's describe, what does that mean? What does bigger mean in that context?
Yeah, bigger didn't just mean more assets. Bigger meant it was more than us. It was taking care of our families. Then it was, we started hiring employees, taking care of them and their families. You know, a few of our employees have, you know, some backgrounds that, you know, they got themselves out of some bad situations, and then they're buying $500,000 houses. They are starting families. You know, that wasn't in their path there for a while. So it becomes more than just us. Now it's about our employees. Then we bring on co-investors, who are the guys we work with at the firehouse, the nurses, the teachers, the policemen, you know, everybody that we run into, our friends and family. Now it's more than just creating wealth for us. It's creating wealth for them and giving them a better path, right? Like, this stuff isn't talked about in school, right? We all come out, most of us that invest with us, we're all high school educated guys, right? We're not like professional background, college. That's not our grind. No, and I don't even know that this stuff is taught in college. No. But the fact that you're able to control your own destiny and not rely on someone. I think the worst, everyone says the safest bet is to have the W-2. It's honestly the worst bet because you're trusting someone else to make sure that you have a future, versus saying, let's get out there, let's go and do it ourselves. And the fact that we're able to, it's more than just us. It's our employees, it's their families, it's our co-investors, it's their families, and so on and so forth. This wealth creation is way bigger than all of us. It's not just me, it's you, it's what everybody else that does that you have on the show. This is what we're all actively working towards.
It's kind of so funny you said that, man, because I've had several conversations with great friend of mine, some of them my best friends, and we're always talk about, he's like, I'm making good money. Okay, what happens when you stop making good money? Like, what do you mean? Well, why would I never have a job? Like, it's not that you never have a job. You may not have a choice sometimes, because what if your health is suffering? Yeah. What if you have somebody sick in the house? What if you got to go take care of something else? It's one of those scenarios. The probability is there. It may be low in your mind, but I believe that probability of that happening is much higher because it happened to me. So if it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody, right? Because most of us don't think it'll ever happen to me. And I used to think the same thing. It'll never happen to me. I got laid off. I didn't have a job. All that good stuff. So I think to your point about W-2 is not the safest bet. It's the laziest bet. And while the paycheck is coming, it looks very comfortable. But the moment the paycheck dries out, for no fault of yours most of the time, that's when you start thinking about, okay, what else do I have to depend on? It may be too late, because whatever you and I are talking about right now, it takes time to build that up, right? Not just understanding, but to bring the cash flow to a point where you are able to feel comfortable that you don't have to depend on somebody else at this point. It takes time.
Yeah. And just to go back a little bit, like part of our thing was, we're in a job that we could literally lose our lives, right? Like a few months after we quit, like 3 of our friends got killed in a fire. And then a couple months after that, 2 of our friends got killed. Like, it's real. Also, side by side with that, you could be in a situation that, let's just say you break your back or you break a leg. It's a dangerous job in general. So here's my wife saying, I want to have kids. And all of a sudden, like a light switch at 30 years old, like most of us, that's usually when women want to get pregnant. If you're younger, listen to this. It's like a light switch. They want to get pregnant. And you're like, holy crap, man. Like, what if? Now, I know most of you aren't in a life-threatening job, but we were. But there's nothing to say something can't happen to you tomorrow. How do you provide that legacy? And that was part of it. Like, we were doing landscaping. We were hustle jobs. But if something happened to me, our income source was immediately turned on.
100%, man. 100%.
Just saying, we had some rental properties, and it's like, hey, property manager, handle it. Hey, babe, like, if I'm off this planet, all you got to do is sell them, and there's some sort of equity, and you're going to get some cash, right? Like, she had the option then, and we're creating something for her. So, okay, grieve for several months, God forbid something happened to me. You still have cash flow. You don't have to fight the city to go get these benefits that are due to you. God forbid something happened to me. And honestly, when I left, but when we were leaving, I wound up breaking my ankle. And, again, this goes back to what you're saying. We are nothing more than just a number in a system. Oh, yeah, you broke your ankle. Cool. Whatever. We'll see it. You'll see in 6 months. Life goes on, right? But it really opened your eyes that there's more to this world. And I think, I don't want to get into politics, but the COVID side of things, if it didn't show you anything else, that there's much more to life, that there's time freedom, and everybody kind of slowed down for a little bit. That's the only benefit that I see that came out of that, is people actually spent more time with their families. They spent more time understanding what wealth is, right? Understanding that it's more than just money. It's about the time and the ability to spend that with friends, family, or whatever you enjoy to do, and controlling your own destiny.
100%, Ian. I think I'm with you, man, because I've talked to so many people, and everyone's smart. Like, it's not about people being dumb, but I think everyone's walking with a blindfold on, and they only want to hear what's being taught to them and talked into them. And unfortunately, they're hearing the same people who have the same opinion. Like, we were talking about something, stock market returns versus real estate. Well, real estate it's not liquid. It's not meant to be liquid, because if it's liquid, you're going to put an axe on your own legs. You're going to cut them off, because that's where these things are preventing you to make those emotional decisions. So Ian, let me ask you. I know you're a man of multiple asset classes, but there's one asset class that you're very bullish on, which is storage. Talk to us about that. How have you used that to build wealth for not only yourself, and what are the components of wealth building that are involved in self-storage?
Yeah, we just need to roll it back just a little bit, right? Like, let's talk about single family real quick. We're doing this massive grind, and we're buying houses. We're all in for $120. They're worth $150. Easy refinance numbers, but they only cash flow $300 to $500 a month. God forbid nothing goes wrong. And we said, man, like, we need to be able to apply our skill set to something bigger and better, and try to get like some, we have 100 houses. It's like, man, that's a lot of roofs. It's a lot of this. It's a lot of that. And then the thought of like buying multifamily outside of Baltimore, like, kind of scared us. Buying it in Baltimore is tough because we're surrounded by DC, Philly, New York money. So we were looking for market diversity. And what we found with storage is the ability to buy outside of our local market, go in, purchase a property, stabilize it, and create massive amounts of equity or value and cash flow, right? Just a quick example, buying a property for 1.4 and in 9 months being able to be worth $3 million, that's a huge lift. And the other thing with storage is it's an operating business, where I don't disagree that single family real estate is not an operating business. You're still confined by what your neighbor's house is worth when it comes to value. In the commercial real estate world, and specifically storage, but commercial real estate as a whole, they look at the NOI. So every dollar that I bring in on the top line, however it may come in through ancillary fees, through increasing rent, through whatever it is, gets an exponential multiple at the bottom line. And I hear the guys, oh, well, I'll just go buy a business. Yeah, but you're getting 3x. I'm getting the benefits of owning real estate and getting anywhere from 10 to 15x on the bottom line. So what I love about it is you have an operating business that's backed by real estate that we understand how to underwrite. And that's where I think the true wealth creation is.
I think it's also, everyone can buy a business, but not everyone can run a business, because it's very different, right? But real estate, at least everyone has a mental model that it's you rent something and rent comes in and you pay a few expenses and you're done. Like, it's not a widget. You're not creating a widget. You're not creating something sold. You're not creating the next Google, the next Facebook. The risk is how well can you operate, and it's not something that cannot be learned. That doesn't mean it's easy. I'm not saying you can learn it to go buy a storage unit tomorrow. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if you were to go to buy a laundromat or a business versus buying a storage unit, you have to figure out what can you understand faster, and where can you see yourself freeing yourself as well, because the goal is not to buy a job. The goal is to buy an asset that you're able to oversee and still manage to control, but not run it day to day. Right? Any thoughts on that, Ian?
Yeah, it's a very systemizable asset class that you can run with VAs. Like, our call centers here in Baltimore, but all of our properties are in the Southeast United States, right? We have boots on the ground. We have automation functions that allow us to operate. I do want to hit your one point of like, yeah, go buy a business, but there's no way to value a business to another business. No. Whereas I can say, well, at least if I buy this storage facility, I know it's going to cost me, if I could buy it for $30 a foot, I know it's going to cost me $40 a foot to build. Right. I've bought some sort of deal here, even if I screw the business up at the top line. Right. And that's the advantage of having it backed by 100%. Real estate. It gives you better downside risk versus buying that business, versus buying something that doesn't have intrinsic value. My favorite one is, you brought it up earlier, is stocks. People buy Tesla. Well, what's Tesla really worth? And I'm not a stock guy by any means, but people are willing to go put money into something they can't see or touch, versus saying, you want to get on a plane? I'll go take you down there tomorrow and show you all the assets. This is something real that we can navigate, we can insure, we have ways to protect ourselves rather than just one little piece of paper.
I think, Ian, everyone's a gambler at heart, unfortunately, right? If a Tesla is going to 1,000x, yeah, it can, but it can also zero. There's no protection. But at least in real estate, you may not 1,000x ever. Maybe someday you will, but chances, that's not what you're buying. You're buying it because it protects you on the downside, right?
Yeah.
Where, to your point, the asset's always going to be of some value. It'll never zero out completely. So you're capping the downside at the value of the asset at that time, right? Now that doesn't mean you're allowed to lose money. I also want to make sure people understand that there's no sure guarantee money making asset except buying a toaster. Even that gives you burnt bread if you don't know how to operate a toaster. So there's no guarantees in the world. So keep that in mind. But Ian, let's jump ahead a little bit, maybe back a little bit. Why storage? What made you go from single family to storage? And help me understand that jump.
Yeah, so we took some left turns and right turns, and I know I kind of breezed through it, but we went single family, bought a couple small multis, and we said, well, let's rinse and repeat multis. The true problem is the competition for multifamily 2019-ish and on was really, really heavy, right? Like low debt, people buying stuff at 4 caps, sophisticated money has been chasing multifamily for a long time. So a lot of the mom and pop operators have already been wiped out from the 90s, like the early 90s, early 2000s. That's when there was a big push. All the sophistication came in. Well, with storage, there's still a ton of mom and pop operators. The ability to buy outside of Baltimore was a huge one for us. We witnessed the riots. We're witnessing a decline in the city. Like, dude, we need to be in some better markets. During COVID, people are fleeing south. Let's go look at that. We operate, you guys probably think I'm very political, but I'm not. We operate in a very blue state with a lot of consumer protection laws. COVID really showed us who's in control of our tenants, and it's not me, right? It's not us. We can't evict people for certain reasons.
Yeah.
All during COVID, I could still auction people's stuff. I could buy stuff in, say, Mississippi, and the transfer tax is next to nothing versus here in Maryland, I got to pay all kinds of mortgage and transfer and these stamps and that stamps, and the closing costs are insanely higher. And at a certain point, it begins to wear on you. So we started looking at other asset classes saying, look, we like these. Where can we find the inventory? That's fine. I'll hop on a plane. I'll go somewhere warm. I enjoy that. Let's go check that out. Let's go operate somewhere else. And storage was able to provide us that ability to invest in markets that we believe in that necessarily aren't our home market. They're exponentially more expensive. And I think that's the competitive advantage that storage gave us. It was the opportunity, number one. There's a ton of inventory that's still available. They say somewhere around 70% of the 50,000 storage facilities that exist today are still mom and pop operators across this country. And this country is gigantic and it's small at the same time. So there's a ton of opportunity out there that gave us a path and a runway to execute on a business plan versus multifamily or industrial or any of the other commercial assets that all the REITs and all the private equity are chasing because of simplicity or because there is service providers in those verticals right now that allow them to operate a little more autonomously and not have to get their hands dirty. So
Ian, do you feel storage still has, I understand 2019 was an insane world for storages. Do you see the value in that asset today? Because it seemed like, if I heard you correctly, over 70% of the storage units, self-storage units in this country are still mom and pop. First of all, did I hear you correctly? Second, can you contextualize that? What does that really mean, mom and pop? And why is that an opportunity?
Yeah, so with storage, when we define mom and pop, we're talking about, you drive past the facility, you go to look it up on Google, it doesn't exist on Google. It doesn't have a website. It doesn't have a gate. They still have a person living there taking care of the property. Super old school type business tactics. They might not even have a sign. So when we look for facilities, and again, this is why storage gives you some competitive advantages. I'm not going in there and having to renovate units and put flooring and kitchen cabinets and opening walls and all these problems. I'm going in there and stabilizing management. I'm adding a website. I'm adding a call center to make sure that we properly answer the calls because our window to convert a lead is really, really, really small. Making sure that people can move in online, adding a gate so they have gate access. The other good thing about the gate is if you don't pay me, I can lock you out of the gate. Again, automation added to this whole thing.
Right.
And the mom and pop operators, you got to remember, they probably built this thing in, we have a facility in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Probably, I know for a fact, successful land developer in that area that built this facility. and was running it very mom and pop-esque, even though he was super successful. He just needed a place to put his money. No website, had a person going there every single day. So when I talk about mom and pop operators, they exist. Now there's some markets, we're local to Philadelphia and Baltimore. You get out into central PA, Maryland, some of these markets don't dictate some of that, but there's still opportunity to provide the technology or the management piece to improve them. Obviously, it's exponentially more important in your bigger cities, say Baton Rouge or Little Rock or Baltimore, your major MSAs. So when I'm talking about mom and pop, that's what we're looking at. And that's where we look at adding value.
Love that. So, if somebody wants to learn more about storage, self-storage opportunities, and are there resources that you can point them to?
Yeah, I mean, selfishly, obviously, you can check out equitywarehouse.com. We do case studies on what we're doing, but there's good content out there. There's good books. If you dig on Amazon, some of the other guys out there, I'll just give him a shout out. AJ Osborne, he's got pretty good content out there. We put content out all the time. If you want to learn it, I mean, we live in the age of YouTube University. You can figure out everything you need to do. The question is, this asset class isn't going to save you, but what it can do is provide you a better path to being more successful. So there may be, look, you can go out and learn everything you want on YouTube. The question is, are you going to go out and execute? You can read every book out there. Are you going to execute?
Correct.
And I think that's what is more important. Now, like I said, you can go check us out. We do have a free ebook, and you can check out everything on ours and case studies of actual deals that we have done. So
perfect. I highly recommend it, right? I think Ian, the journey starts with learning. So once you learn, then you decide whether you want to be an active self-storage person or you want to be passive. I think that's really where the engagement with someone like you becomes very more meaningful because, hey, you know what, Ian, I love what you've thrown. I want to actually learn how to buy my own storage unit. Different conversation. The other thing is, well, it's too much work. I don't have the time or the interest. I'm going to do what I do better, which is either have my own business or my W-2, whatever you want to focus on, no judgment. But I want to invest passively because I still want to make sure that I can take advantage of the asset class. So completely different conversations. So highly encourage you to look into that. And towards the end of our show, we'll talk about where to find all those resources again, if you didn't get a chance to note it down. But yeah, we're coming to the end of this show right now. What I ask is there anything that we haven't covered in the last 20, 30 minutes here, 20, 25 minutes that you believe that we should have talked about and the audience would get the benefit from?
Yeah, we were just starting to hit on it. It comes down to swinging the bat, and you kind of just summarize that a little bit. Get up, go out, swing the bat. And maybe the bat is, hey, let's go up there and I want to do this myself. Well, that's going to take a different amount of work to do it, but your return should be exponentially higher if you do that.
Correct.
But then you might say, well, I love my job. I love being a fireman, or I love being a doctor, whatever it is. And you say, you know what? I just want a place to store my wealth. Well, again, you need to swing the bat. You need to underwrite deals. You need to talk to guys like me or anybody else that's out there and look at all of them and decide who's the right person for you and co-invest with them. But in exchange for that, maybe you get a little smaller return, but you're not doing all the hard work and have a trusted partner. So in the end, it comes down to just doing the reps. Too many people and I think that's how money ends up in the stock market. It's simple. We could literally create a brokerage account right now and dump hundreds of thousands of dollars in the stock market if we wanted to, because it's super easy. Whereas our investments, they take a little more time, a little more understanding to do them. In the end, you need to be in the game every day, underwriting and actively working towards your goal.
I think, Ian, I want to make sure it has more frictions for the right reasons, right? So opening a stock market account, brokerage account is very easy. That's the biggest reason why a lot of people lose their money as well, because it's easy to take it out as well, right?
Yep.
But if you're, and most of people don't even understand why they're taking money out. You're just taking out because the only indicator for most of us who are in the stock market is a market's going down and you take it out. That's not the reason to sell anything, because the market is going down, because hopefully you didn't buy it to sell it in 2 days, right? Yep. I mean, that's why having somebody else in who is emotionally removed from your money. Because when we're dealing with your own money, it has a different attachment to it. We're also doing, people like Ian and myself, we're dealing with investor capital. So there's regulatory hurdles that we have to also make sure that we're compliant by, not just emotional. So our decisions are not just because the market is going down. Else something in our understanding, our thesis has to change drastically for us to say we need to sell, right? Yeah. Otherwise, we're not going to sell. We're going to hold on to it because if we bought it for the right reasons, that asset would still make sense. It's just that we may have to hold it a little bit longer, right? So those are the things I would say is that the reason why it's hard is the reason why it's also to your benefit. So don't shy away from hard. Hard is relative.
Yep, hard is it's really just the test to see if you actually want to do it, right? And
correct.
For those of you that like really want to understand the point that you just drove home, go read The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel.
Yeah,
it's the nail on the head. And it's like, when people are pulling money out, you need to decide how you're going to do this. Just don't pull money out to pull money out. Have a plan. Do what you need to do. Make sure that you're in this for the long haul. Like I was saying earlier, we did a presentation this weekend at an event, and I like to start all of them off with a quote. And it was literally, "You are here to invest for the long haul, not to be greedy, not to get rich quick, but to invest for the long haul." And when you're looking at this type of stuff, that's what you need to have the mental mindset of.
Yeah.
And taking your active income and turning it into passive income so you can eventually retire and be on this side of the fence. So
100%, I couldn't have said it better, Ian. Thank you again, Ian, for all your thoughts. One last question we have, which is a little bit selfless. Where do you feel in your interactions with people, especially as a fireman? Of course, that's a hard job. Because to your point, as you said earlier, you could lose your life, right? So it's not something that anyone would do it. But as you reflect back in your own life and your conversations, where do you feel humanity as a whole needs to migrate towards?
Yeah, man. Well, we're still able to do podcasts, so that's good. Society's not dead, and I think that's the big hope. I think the fact that if every person started to concentrate on themselves, took themselves seriously, doing what they need to do to be successful. What's the saying? I'm not good with them, but rising tides float all boats, right? I think that's the saying. And if we all executed and operated at a high level and had accountability, the society as a whole would be better. And it's not just about money or doing business. That includes humanity, being gracious towards people. Doesn't matter what side of the political fence you are on. We are all human beings. And if you can recognize that, life's a lot easier. Being mean, being angry is a lot of headache. Being happy, enjoying other people, learning about other people. Put your damn phones down. Sorry, I've kind of gone off on a tangent, but coming home on the airport, literally on the plane, they said, "Hey, you guys got to get off the plane." Everybody's just sitting around, walking around like this on their phones. No interaction. I'm sitting in the lounge, eating, like looking to talk to someone. Everyone's just in their laptops and on their phones. Human interaction, man, I think.
I should have sent you this picture. We were in Costa Rica maybe last month. And in that place, there were tables of families of 5 or 6. Everyone's on the phone.
Yeah.
The thought that, and of course, I'm not saying we're perfect. I'm sure we had similar things. It's just that it's hard for me to judge myself because I didn't see it. But it's easy to see somebody else. Like, why are you here?
Yeah. Yeah, you're in this beautiful place. Enjoy your surroundings. I got stuck in Salt Lake City for 6 hours. I was able to access the Delta Lounge that stares at this beautiful snow-capped mountain range. It was 65 degrees. And I was like, man, this is beautiful. And everybody's just buried in their phones. And I was like, man, that is like sad. It's borderline.
It is sad. It is sad. I think, but that's where unfortunately it's becoming the norm now.
Yeah.
But to your point, we could change that norm anytime we want. Because
take accountability.
Take accountability.
Take the time to engage, learn something about someone. And that's why I'm glad live events are back. It's so fun to talk to people and learn about them. I mean, I'm an East Coaster. I'm in California talking to this group of 1,000 people. And I got to meet so many cool people, so many different business models. I'm on the stage presenting and people are telling me about ideas. I'm like, wow, man, that's cool. And it's a really good reminder why you need to get out there, interact, more than just podcasts, more than just books, more than just Facebook groups. Get out there, go see I can't say touch people, see, feel, and touch people, but go out and see people.
Yeah, be careful on that. Be careful of that part.
So
I know what you mean. I think physical conversation in physical spaces, not virtual spaces, and not virtual worlds, real world, physical world is important because that's how business works. That's where you learn, and that's where you get inspired and motivated. Ian, thank you, buddy. I really appreciate it. Again, remind us, where can we find you and your work?
yeah, best place to find us is at equitywarehouse.com. If you want to check out case studies, how we work with our co-investors, whether you're looking to do it or maybe you're trying to do your first real estate deal, you can figure out how to structure them. We're on all the socials. I am the most active on Instagram under Equity Warehouse. You'll find us. If you have any questions about storage, shoot us a DM. I will respond. I can't promise it's immediately, but we will respond. Instagram's the most popular for me.
Awesome, brother. Thank you again, Ian. Appreciate it, man. And for all the listeners, take advantage of the resource. I think self-storage is a very strong asset class, and you at least want to learn more about it before you discount it. Thank you again.
Thank you.
If you got value from this episode, you might consider sharing this content with a friend. But most importantly, be sure to take action on what you've learned. One way you can take the next step is to connect directly with Socket on an investor call. That link is waiting for you in the show notes below.